How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Yes, today we are in the middle of watching the WWE Super Showdown show. As I speak, we're in the middle of the Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon match. And Roman, after a long chinlock, here in this match where they're wrestling, is making his big comeback right now. Shane McMahon purple, sweating buckets, but he's still in there. So we're going to recap all of this show here today as we go along. 2 matches have already taken place. Show actually opened with the Seth Rollins-Baron Corbin match, and Seth Rollins won after Baron Corbin was kind of sort of screwed by the referee. Yes, they had to protect Baron Corbin here in this match. And then afterwards, Brock Lesnar came down to cash in, and Shane McMahon, or not Shane McMahon, I'm watching 2 things at once here. Paul Heyman slipped on the ropes and dropped the briefcase, and as a result, Seth was able to low blow Brock Lesnar and beat the hell out of him with a chair. And for the 4th time now, Brock Lesnar did not cash in. So for those of you that watched this show, maybe you stayed home from work. I mean, who are we kidding? But Brock Lesnar did not cash in. He is not the WWE champion. I suppose it's possible that by the end of the show, he cashes in and wins a title from Kofi Kingston. I guess that is possible. But that's the update so far. We also had the Finn Balor match with Andrade, which quite frankly would have been a significantly better match anywhere else in the world. But because it happened on Super Showdown, for whatever reason, the crowd was absolutely, totally, completely dead for that match. I don't know how they are for this Shane McMahon-Roman Reigns match, because I have the audio turned down. Maybe somebody could alert me, but that's the update right now on the Super Showdown. We'll be talking about that as the show goes on. I also got a lot of news today, and if you'd like to call us about anything, 844-411-5411 is the phone number. That is toll-free, 844-411-5411. Text messages, 425-780-7566. As always, all of these numbers are available on the front page of WrestlingObserver.com, where we are, in fact, doing live play-by-play of this pay-per-view. So check it out, WrestlingObserver.com. Back in a moment with Mike Sempervive to kick it off, Wrestling Observer Live. I'm here, everybody. We're back here on the show. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com.
Already broken.
Dude, during the break, the match is over, and Shane McMahon beat Roman Reigns. They were having a match, and Drew McIntyre flew in when the ref wasn't looking and hit his kick, and Shane McMahon fell on top and pinned Roman Reigns. Now, what's funny is I was actually mad before the finish because I'm watching the show, and listen, I understand nepotism, okay? Like, someday my daughter will take over the show, but there's a difference. She'll be better than me, okay? Shane McMahon, dude. Like, and I have a right to say this because I'm still wrestling today. This dude sucks. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
and he's been doing this. He's been doing this forever. And he's still terrible. And they're in there having this match. And, like, forget the finish. Roman Reigns is in there. It's not even like there's gimmicks where, you know, Shane McMahon hit him with something or whatever. I mean, dude, they're in there having a competitive wrestling match. Roman Reigns, in a wrestling match, is going hold for hold with 49-year-old Shane McMahon. It's freaking preposterous is what it is.
This is art.
And then, as bad as that is, then he beats him in the end. So, like, I whatever. I don't care. I'm over the show already. I mean, it's just, they screwed you for the 4th time on the Brock Lesnar cash-in. Although, I am thinking that they probably are going to do Brock cashing in on Kofi. I don't know that for sure. But they screwed you 4 times now in the opener, and then we got a match with no heat, which actually was a very good match. And now Shane McMahon beating Roman Reigns. It's just whatever. I mean, same thing I said a couple of days ago. Like, this ship is sinking, and these are the ideas that they have to turn this thing around. Like, Shane McMahon at 49 beating Roman Reigns. I mean, listen, everybody complained in the dying days of WCW about, like, the Hulk Hogans and all of these, quote, old guys that were on top. Dude, Shane McMahon's older than every one of them during that period in WCW. 49 years old right now. So, that's your Super Showdown update. We got a Kofi Kingston interview right now.
How do you feel about Byron Saxton's sideburns right now?
Dude, if Byron Saxton's going to stay in the back and interview guys, I'm cool with that. I don't need him doing commentary. So,
but by the way, I'd like to take a little issue with something you said in the opening of the show.
Knock me out.
You mentioned that you had
I'll fight anybody.
That they had to protect Baron Corbin, and he got screwed over by the referee. I think if anybody sees that, they will see that Baron Corbin was actually just one big, gigantic idiot, because out of nowhere, well, not really out of nowhere, but all of a sudden he screams at the referee, completely taking his eyes off of Seth Rollins, backs the referee into the corner as if he was blocking the referee away from seeing his tag partner do something nefarious. No, he is doing that as of course, Seth Rollins is getting up behind him and schoolboys him and gets the victory with the referee counting the
You're
pin.
right. You're right. Right in the sense that the heel did something dumb and paid for it. However,
but it was so preposterously, cartoonishly stupid, as opposed to I'm caught and I'm frustrated and I'm angry and I got rolled up and I got caught. He looked like a cartoon idiot.
Well, he is a cartoon idiot, but it's a finish designed to give him something to complain about to have another match. Like, he was distracted by the referee, and the dude rolled him up from behind, and the referee slid in to make the count. I mean, literally, it was 2-on-1. He started it, but it was 2-on-1. Seth Rollins is the world, the universal, bigger than the world. Every world that there is. He is the universal heavyweight champion. And how did he beat Baron Corbin? Well, Baron got distracted by the referee, and he snuck up from behind and schoolboyed him. I mean, come on.
He's in a world whose universe is such that Shane McMahon goes hold for hold with his former partner, Roman Reigns. So,
here we go. The Lucha House Party is going to be facing The Freak. That's what we got coming up now. Lars Sullivan is going to beat three dudes with piñatas. Speaking of, by the way, speaking of WCW in the 90s, I mean, you know, tequila bottle finishes. Here's these guys coming out with a damn piñata. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Bryan, Mike, Tony from Philadelphia here. Bryan, you shut your mouth. That is the best in the world.
Oh, get out.
You got to remember that. He is
Are you kidding me?
Man is the best.
Those Jordans were amazing, though. I'll say that.
They are keeping continuity alive. The last time the Saudi Arabian audience saw him, he was winning that Best in the World trophy, so they are at least doing that.
Big in the territory, that's true.
Before I get to my main point, let me ask both of you a question.
Can I say something? Hold on a second. Hold on. I'll keep you on the line, but I got to say something. You know what this Shane McMahon thing is like? I'm going to tell you what this is like. Carmella was like a manager, and she was like, you know, annoying and everything like that. And she basically backdoored her way into the title with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And then, like, boom, all of a sudden, she was beating everybody. Like, they flipped a switch, and she was suddenly like a great wrestler. The Shane McMahon Best in the World heat is that he didn't even do anything to win that stupid tournament. He subbed for somebody, and he won. And it's like a heel thing where, oh, my God, I'm the best in the world. I won this tournament. But now, like, he's in there going toe-to-toe with all of these big stars like he literally is Hulk Hogan. Yes, he's a heel, so he kind of wins titles with interference or whatever, or he lucks into it or whatever the case may be, but he's beaten Miz multiple times. Now he's beaten Roman Reigns. Like, all of a sudden, they want us to believe that he actually is the best in the world, when the whole gimmick was, it's a BS title that he's fluked his way into.
And he's doing it 20 years after the fact, when he was a chicken you-know-what heel with the corporation. When he was 20 years younger at the time, now he's a big, stud now. It's incredible.
And I can already nip in the bud. I know everybody's going to text and go, you're such a mark, Bryan. This is supposed to make you want to see Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that's why they set this up. But, dude, you think I care about Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns because Drew cost Roman a match with Shane McMahon? No, I'm just mad at the company that they're pushing Shane McMahon at 49.
Hey, boss.
Yes.
What do you think Shane McMahon's color is more like? You think it's more like an eggplant, or do you think it's more like Grimace? What
it's more like an eggplant.
Purple?
I mean, it's concerning to me. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'm concerned when I see him in the ring. He's a ridiculous shade of purple. He's sweating bullets. I mean, granted, yes. He's 5 years older than I am, but I was not purple, nor was I sweating bullets in that match with Marco Stunt. Like, this is weird.
He dress fully clothed?
Not only that,
the guy's not in shape.
He's purple and he's sweating bullets, cutting promos. Forget wrestling. All right, go ahead, caller. I've had enough.
Sorry. Before I get to my main point, I want to ask both of you a question. Which of the two podcasts do you think is more impactful or more profound at the moment, the Moxley podcast or the CM Punk podcast?
Well, the Moxley podcast, and the reason I'll say that is because they're different. Like, the CM Punk podcast was years ago, and so I think that there were things that he said that a lot of people didn't know about, but the problem also was that he ended up in court because he exaggerated things. Now, at the end of the day, he won, but I mean, there were a lot of exaggerations in that podcast. It's just a fact. The Dean Ambrose podcast, like, he just said everything that if you're paying attention, you already knew. I liked it because it verified everything we've said for years, but it was also a different podcast in the sense that even the people in WWE he was burying, there's nobody that said, well, he was exaggerating about this, he was lying about that. I mean, he was telling the truth. I mean, everybody from every side said that everything that he said was the truth. So I think that in the end is maybe the Punk one is more impactful because of the fallout, but I think that the Dean Ambrose one is, I don't know. I think it's a better podcast because it was all true.
And it had more gravity to it. I think that's it.
That's where I lean as well. Now, real quick, before I drop off, and thanks again, really, Crown Jewel and the Super Showdown and these shows in general really signify that nothing truly matters in WWE. And I think at this point, the worst thing they can do to their fans is to make them apathetic more than angry. There's a lot of people who are mad about the Saudi shows and Roman Reigns winning, but when your crowd is apathetic, it's worse than anything else. And if you look at what AEW is doing, you watch Double or Nothing, you felt fulfilled. You feel like they're giving the fans what they want. And WWE every now and then will give you the illusion that they're giving you what you want, like they'll...
Well, actually, we have to do a break. I'll talk about this when we come back. Stand by, everybody. Wrestling Observer Live.
The hell out of
Back here on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Like, every time we go to commercial, something stupid happens during the break. So, first off, I mean, apparently I hated the Lars Sullivan interview on SmackDown, I guess less than everybody else. Everybody else hated it way more than I did. I certainly hated the first half, but I thought he kind of made it work a little bit in the second half. But one way or the other, like, I don't think Lars should talk. And one of the things that I really wanted was for them to keep his entrance from NXT because it's awesome. And you'll never guess, they got rid of his awesome entrance. And then he went in there and he wrestled the Lucha House Party forever. And he won. And then they beat the absolute living hell out of him. But then, as they were leaving, he beat the hell out of them. Why did they bother giving anything to the Lucha House Party?
What is going on here?
I don't know what's going on. I'm gobsmacked by this.
God.
They're running wild on him again. All right, he's got Lindsay to Raw. Oh, Lindsay's dead. All right, well, he beat them all up. So I don't know why they bothered getting any heat on him whatsoever. Should have just came out and destroyed 3 men and got out of there with his entrance from NXT. But it's the main roster, so they got to do other stuff, and that's what they did.
They put their necks out on the line for the missing link. And I know this is very early in this young man's career, but with everything, with all the internet stuff and the fine and all that, everything around this guy, and again, I don't see, and I've never seen in them...
Oh my God, it was a DQ?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And I've never seen this guy in person, and I know that's probably, if you see him in person, it probably would mean a little bit more, but, like, I've never really gotten it with this guy, and to me, it's like your big shows, even your Braun Strowmans, but your big shows, your Brock Lesnar's, those type of monsters are characters that are more developed and what a Lars Sullivan, how he's being presented, it's like they stuck their neck out there for the missing link. That's essentially what they did, and I don't think this guy's ever going to get higher than that.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Brian. This is Matthew in Louisville. Sitting here watching the second Super Showdown, and I pretty much agree. It's just a glorified house show. But do you think there could possibly be a swerve and maybe Brock ends up cashing in on Kofi?
Yeah, I think that absolutely could happen. I mean, it's funny. Like, here's what's weird about this whole thing. Okay, so they're desperate to get you to believe that Brock is going to cash in. But, like, I mean, how many times can you really do this? I mean, I guess the answer so far is 4. I mean, maybe they'll keep going all year. I mean, I learned on Monday, like, God bless the wrestling fans, but, dude, there's a lot of really dumb people because they believed it the third time and it wasn't delivered. And now here was the fourth time. So
usually the charm.
What, they're gonna promise it again on Raw, and this time for sure. Like, Brock not cashing in is a great story. You not knowing when Brock is going to cash in is a great story. Brock with a boombox is a great story. But they're determined to just get this over with. And to me, it's like, why are you rushing to get this over with? Like, this is a good story here. On top of that, I like Kofi as champion. It's something different. It's something new. I don't think you need to take the title off him and put it on Brock.
Brian,
but I'm not in charge.
Clearly. I am going to try to have some faith and a silver lining in this right now. Look at Paul Heyman stumble into the ring today. Maybe they're not going to pull the trigger. Maybe this is going to be. Maybe this is how they draw this out, and maybe that's their excuse for, hey, this is the story we're telling. Yes, basically it's because of ratings and where they're at right now, it's a bait and switch. But how they can play this later on is, no, this is the longer story we're telling. And if there's the possibility that Paul could be the thing that costs Brock, the title opportunity, and to me at least, until he goes out there tonight, or until we see what happens with Kofi Kingston, maybe this is going to be the way they extend it out and continue it on.
I want to mention this from MMA Fighting. This is a quote from Dana White regarding why Brock Lesnar did not fight. He said, and I quote, and keep in mind this is Dana White, but he was basically asked, like, did the Brock thing fall through because since you're no longer on pay-per-view, there is not the financial incentive to pay-per-view bonuses, etc. for a guy like Brock? And he said, that is not why Brock did not fight. Brock Lesnar got a better deal is basically what happened for Brock. If you really want to look, when we were on pay-per-view, we were on traditional pay-per-view, everybody was talking about how the pay-per-view business was dying. It's dying and nobody can pull numbers anymore. So he is an idiot. I mean, he's not an idiot, but he's saying something that is untrue in order to make you believe. He's basically covering for ESPN in this deal.
He's shining his business arrangement up. That's what he's doing. He's shining it up and saying, well, look, this is the same thing that Aram and a lot of people have done. Well, pay-per-view is dead, and look at our deal is sweet. And in a way, it is very sweet, but you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Oh, actually, hold on. I apologize.
Good.
That quote right there was him saying what other people were saying. And he said, we were still pulling 5 to 7 million pay-per-view buys a year. When we were on the dying traditional pay-per-view, you can't listen to any of this noise. So yes, I apologize to Dana White. He absolutely was correct. Pay-per-view is not dying. Pay-per-view is only dying if you're presenting something to the pay-per-view audience that they don't want to buy. Which, by the way...
If you don't have stars.
I got to say this. So, I think it's Impact. They've got a pay-per-view coming up, and I think that it was... Their pay-per-views had been $29.95, and they're going to sell this one for $19. And when I read that, I was like, I got to find out more information about this, because we just learned that over 100,000 people paid $60 for that AEW pay-per-view that everybody told me nobody was going to buy because nobody's going to pay $60 for a pay-per-view. And again, the reality is, no matter what anybody tells you, pay-per-view is not dying. And if you put on something that people want to see, they will, in fact, pay $60 for it. And in light of that, TNA is dropping the price for their pay-per-view by $10. What?
I think it's a smart move, and I'll tell you why.
I think you're insane.
Well, here's why. Unlike AEW, unlike the Young Bucks, unlike everybody that's there, they have no buzz whatsoever. And if you look at it, I mean, AEW and that whole scene is about 3 times worth what Impact is at right now. And there needs to be an alternative. There needs to be a bargain alternative. And I am not saying that, would I have made that decision, would I have gone to maybe $24.95, something like that, maybe. But I kind of understand it because they're desperate right now for any attention that they can get whatsoever. And I know Lance comes on his show with you and talks about, hey, we're the best secret out there and everything. But there has been so much brand damage that they have just need to get their foot in somewhere. And with prices rising everywhere, with disposable income for a lot of people, a lot of wrestling fans, your rank and file wrestling fan, like they are the ones that are they're the ones they need to reach reach out there because there's a lot of those. The AEW, I'm not saying they're a gilded group, but anybody that can travel as much as they can to shows on holiday weekends and things like that, they're in a little bit of a different category. So again, we'll have to see if it works out or not, but I wouldn't kill them for it. I know what you're saying, but
listen, you just said they're the best kept secret. Like,
I didn't say that. Lance is saying that. People that work for Impact are saying that. The problem is nobody hears that.
But the point is, there is no fan that wasn't going to buy this pay-per-view that will now buy it because it's 19 instead of 29. None. Oh. Zero. They could offer for $9.99, and I don't think there's one fan that wasn't going to buy the pay-per-view that's going to buy it. I would bet you $100 that the pay-per-view buys for this show at $19.99 are at most like 5% above what they were at $29. And I don't even think it's going to be that. I bet they're going to be exactly the same. The audience that was going to buy is going to buy, and they would have paid $30, but now they're going to be happy to pay $20, but they would have paid $30. We've seen this a million times. You're not going to get one new fan at $19.99 that's not watching Impact. I don't even think at $9.99.
What is their number at right now anyway?
I have absolutely no idea.
I mean, is it like 4 digits? Like, seriously?
I would bet it is over 1,000, but it's certainly not 20,000. And, it's just throwing away money. In the wake of what we just saw was an ability to charge significantly more. I'm not saying they should charge $60, but there's no need to drop the price.
That to me, and I guess it's where I'm at, is they're almost not even playing the same game. And I put Impact in a category where, frankly, independentwrestling.tv and beyond, that subscription, gets more attention than Impact, and that's $9.99. So I don't know, or $10.99, whatever it is right now. Whatever you could have gotten for free for 30 days if you would have signed up to watch Black Label Pro, which you should never do again because they screwed over my boss, Bryan Alvarez.
I'll keep watching, everybody. I got news on that after a while, but right now it's top secret.
It's usually how we talk to him again.
A couple of these here. Didn't WCW sell more pay-per-views when they raised prices? Yes, and the same thing with attendance. Like when you sell tickets for a higher price, you sell more tickets because it seems like a hotter event. You don't take a date to something where the tickets are $5. You take a date to something where the tickets are $150.
Depends how you're going with, brother.
Just the way it works. This person here says, Reigns once comically kicked out of 5 F5s after they predicted the move for a calendar year, and he loses to a run-in finisher by McIntyre.
Look at this phallic symbol bike that Triple H is on.
Triple H is out here on a tricycle.
On his nose.
A glorified tricycle is what it is. It's a 3-wheel motorcycle. And he's coming down to the ring. And this match with Randy Orton is about to start, everybody.
Well, he's got a full, house fan just on the front of that thing. You see that?
I can only imagine what will happen during the break, everybody. But we are going to head to a break. And when we come back, we will talk more about the WWE Super Showdown. We'll take your phone calls, emails, text messages, and more. So stick around. Back in a moment. Observer Live. All right, a couple of things here. Nothing stupid on the show happened during the break, but I did get a great message. Someone from the website sent me this. I always liked reading fan mail. This person here says, I just wanted to say that I turned on your 1-hour program today for the first time in about a year, and you're still doing the same thing, bashing WWE. WWE is the king of wrestling, and always will be. Not everything is perfect, but it's better than that New Japan AEW crap you all seem to love. I was going to call the show, but you still have me blocked. Yeah. You know what? If you manage to get blocked...
This is stupid.
If you manage to get blocked from this show, you're done. Okay? That's it. Like, I've only blocked... I've muted thousands probably on my Twitter. Like, there's probably hundreds of you right now that tweet terrible things to me every day that I never see. You're wasting your time. I have a very quick trigger finger on Twitter. You mess up one time on Twitter, you're muted. This show, if you've ever listened to this show, you can mess up multiple times. But man, when you hit the limit on this show and you get blocked, you'll never be unblocked. So don't be an idiot. Person says, I think you're right. Impact needs more people.
How low do you have to be banned on this show?
Well, you call in with something stupid. He's probably that one guy that kept calling that wanted to fight Dave Meltzer, and I warned him, but he was such a dunderhead, such a moron, that he eventually had to be blocked.
Geek.
So smarten up, figure your life out, and then contact me and maybe I'll change my mind. But probably not.
Listen to the John Moxley interview.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. Listen to Tony Robbins or something.
Charge so much.
Oh, what a coincidence. Yes, Ryan.
The new kid on the block.
Who's the new kid on the block? Start over again. I wasn't listening.
Well, and they believe that...
Wait, hey, Ryan, hold on a second. Are you deaf? Listen to me. I wasn't listening, so start over.
Okay, what I'm saying is people are paying more for AEW because they're expecting big surprises, like people to jump from
No, they're not.
WWE because they think Tony Khan has
No, they're not. Not one person bought that show because they were expecting a bunch of people to jump ship. None.
I think
no one that dumb could afford $60. It's just a fact.
Well, my prediction is prices are going to get down about 40 in the next 2 years. And
oh yeah,
you think Vince
like the stock
can
market.
Win the
It's gonna be fluctuation.
Nobel Peace Prize?
What?
You think Vince believes he can win the Nobel Peace Prize if he can get women on the show to get?
He ain't winning the Nobel Peace Prize for getting women on the show. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Is this a real call?
Well, if it can save lives.
No, hold on a second, Ryan. Wait a second. I gotta examine your brain.
Hey, band guy, do you feel bad now?
You think, Ryan, that if Alexa Bliss and Natalya wrestled on this show, that Vince McMahon would be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize?
It is 2019.
Well, I believe if the Prince loves Alexa Bliss and feels differently about women, and changing policy and say, like, if he does the same thing for him.
So the Prince is the one that hands out the Nobel Peace Prize? I'm really confused now.
A Disney thing.
You realize that the circus goes to Saudi Arabia and women perform there? Like, women have performed in Saudi Arabia, just not in WWE. You do realize that, right?
Well, they're probably not wearing, like, a bikini.
It doesn't matter. The wrestlers aren't going to wear bikinis either. They'd wrestle in a full head-to-toe bodysuit.
Like they do in the rest of them.
Loose, I might add.
Ooh, loose?
Well, I think WWE is on a higher level than the circus. I just think
Wait a second. You think that WWE is on a higher level than the circus?
The show isn't.
Yeah,
like Cirque du Soleil? You think Cirque du Soleil is at a lower level than WWE?
I believe so, because watching an elephant crap around...
An elephant? Oh, get out of here.
There's no elephants.
What is he talking about? An elephant now?
Look, to be fair, Cirque du Soleil does not go to Cumberland, Maryland, okay?
Clearly it doesn't.
As close as DC.
I know the circus came to town here, Cirque du Soleil. They set up a giant tent. It was unbelievable.
Yes, which Verikai, which one did you see? How many?
I don't know. I've seen
tons of
them. I've seen more than I can even count.
Expensive.
All right, so this person says, do you think that Braun Strowman will wear his green Greatest Royal Rumble Championship belt to the ring today? Well, it's not a Royal Rumble, it's a Battle Royal, so it would be ridiculous for him to wear that.
No, especially because that would take attention away from the 24/7 title.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hello, it's Eric from Norway.
Oh, my good friend Eric is calling again.
Yes.
Don't burn out the audience, Eric, but go ahead.
Well, okay. I'm going to say one thing before I get to my point. The Nobel Peace Prize is given out by Norway, and no, Vince McMahon will never get that.
Okay, thank God you called.
That.
Thank God we got an insider here.
For real.
Got an insider. Well, I was going to...
Have you heard of Whale Scout?
AEW. Yes, I've heard about Whale Scout, but not in
put in a good word.
I was going to ask about... Yes. Anyway, I will put in a good word.
Okay.
Now, I was going to ask about AEW, but I saw the Lars Sullivan match, and it baffled me to the point we have to talk about that. He lost. He won via DQ against three smaller guys, who then beat him up in a fair fight, and then sort of fair fight, and then he just left. And then he beat him up one by one afterwards. That was the weirdest thing I've seen in some time.
Hey, keep this in mind.
I was baffled.
Keep this in mind. Vince loves Lars Sullivan. That was his idea to get Lars Sullivan over more.
That's how you get the monster over. You have three smaller guys beat him up.
Not just three smaller guys, but three guys that have been portrayed as complete jobbers. This is his professional wrestling booking in 2019 to get guys over.
Good stuff, pal.
Yeah, this is good stuff. This is we're getting to the essence of quality here. Now,
yes.
And secondly, I'm watching the Randy Orton and Triple H match, and I'm having TNA flashbacks from 2010 when they were going to go into commercial and being like, "Come back and see Kevin Nash in a match."
They did that a lot. Hey, you know who's in this match right now, my Norwegian friend? Do you know who's in this match? In this match is Triple H, who in the 90s would regularly do promos talking about how there were all these damn old guys on the other channel. Well, and there he is right there, 50 years old in the ring with Randy Orton having a match.
Well, he'll point to $60 million, I think, and say that's the reason why.
Well, I mean, it is. It is partially the reason why. I mean, he's not in the main event title picture. That's at least different. But Shane McMahon, he may be. Just beat Randy Orton. I mean, dude, he should be next in line for Seth Rollins.
Beat Roman Reigns.
What did I say?
Randy Orton.
No, I'm just befuddled.
He's doing the Garvin Stomp, though.
Yeah, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey, it's Paul in Barboursville. And, Bryan, I do want to voice my support for your lawsuit against Phineas J. Black Label and his very corrupt company.
Thank you.
But I'm just
Can I say something, Paul?
curious. So,
Can I say something?
yes?
Everybody thinks this is total BS, but let me tell you something. I think I'm going to win. I just want to throw that out there. So go ahead.
Well, I have an idea on how they might be able to settle with you, sort of a compromise, but I don't think they would actually do it.
What would that be?
I was thinking, what if they offered you Marco Stunt in a cage?
I'd think about it.
Would you cut a promo?
Is there a roof on the cage?
Greg Gagne?
Yeah, I was thinking a fancy cage, with a roof and locks on the door and everything.
I'd think about it. But actually, honest to God, the real problem here is, here's honest to God the real problem. I'm not even really that mad at Marco anymore. I mean, right now I'm mostly mad at the promoter, Mikey. I mean, that's my real issue right here. I mean, I'm pretty upset about the Stunt family, but, I mean, I did start it. But Mikey, he's I'm kind of upset about him right now. So the bigger issue is I don't want to work for him anymore.
Facilitator.
Well, I can see that. I'm watching the show, There's Something About Barry right now on IndieWrestling.tv, and then the opening match, I mean, a woman bought her way into a six-man match which she was not booked or advertised in.
What's this all about? I mean, there's a lot of questions. Wait till you get to my match. Have you seen it yet, or are you waiting to get to it?
I'm waiting to get to it. I'm at the tag match, and Fist from Chikara has just come out. So,
okay, I want an update after you've seen it.
Grab a box of tissues, too.
I see.
It's terrible.
Anyway, going back to the big show today, I'm kind of... so let me get this straight. They basically flew Natalya and Alexa Bliss halfway around the world and were told that they're not going to be allowed to wrestle.
Yeah.
And
that's what happened.
On one hand, I feel very bad for those women. On the other hand, I'm kind of glad that WWE wouldn't be allowed to use this as a talking point, how.
But they
Bryan
will.
Apparently thought
they will at some point. It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
This will be part of the documentary.
Hosting the Olympics changed Nazi Germany, or hosting the Rumble in the Jungle stopped Zaire from being ruled by a brutal dictator.
Exactly. This is the spin they'll put on later in the documentary when they have Stephanie out there going, we tried for years to get women on that show, and we did this and we did that. And they'll ignore the fact that, again, women who've performed in circuses and in other sporting events in that country. So it's going to be a talking point no matter what. It's just, I guess if I'm happy for the women in this case, I guess they got to fly first class and they're getting paid for this. So I guess that's good. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing really good about this show anyway. There's not a whole lot redeeming about WWE running in Saudi Arabia, especially in the shadow of how they began running the shows. So, anything that comes along with it, you always have to roll your eyes at. And when it comes to WWE, I mean, in some ways, this is a perfect match.
So apparently at one point, the Saudi government told WWE that we think you're going to be able to do this match. And then they changed their mind. Now, I mean, I told everyone yesterday that at the creative meeting yesterday, there was no talk of the match. And I guess they flew over on Wednesday. But it sounds to me like there was already the decision made that they weren't going to wrestle, but they figured maybe we'll fly him over just in case, and they were unable to change the mind. But, I mean, at some point, there is going to be a women's match on the show. There's already been a women's match in Saudi Arabia for TNA, and at some point, WWE is going to do one, and we will never hear the end of it.
Of course.
They will claim it was the first time, even though I'm telling you right now, it's already happened. In pro wrestling, it was not the first time.
Era of the women's revolution. When they bring that back when it happens, they'll bring that terminology back, and then everything will begin anew again. And they'll take the titles off of the Iconics and put them on somebody else.
This person here says, equal to or better than WrestleMania is such a low bar. Do they mean length of the show? I liked WrestleMania all the way up through the Daniel Bryan Kofi Kingston match. I thought if the show would have ended with Daniel Bryan Kofi Kingston, people would have remembered it as a great WrestleMania. But unfortunately, they kept going. So, I mean, I've seen very little of this show. I'm not getting good reviews of the Triple H Randy Orton match. This person here says the match is turning into the second coming of their Mania 25 match 10 years ago that completely bombed. That don't sound good. It doesn't look that bad. Hunter is gasping for air right now. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
It is allegedly over 100 degrees there in Saudi Arabia today, but you'd think the building would be air-conditioned.
It's an open stadium, is it not?
It's a good question. Actually,
yeah,
don't know.
Air stadium.
Is it? Oh, no wonder they're so hot.
Shooting off the fireworks and whatnot.
This person here, is it purposeful that they're really pushing that Lars has a word that affects him like a slur? Well, yeah, kinda. But I mean, I'm sure they had that before all of this happened. It is a very simplistic storyline, and Vince McMahon is all about very simplistic storylines that don't go anywhere nowadays. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. This person says, I feel they're trying to book Lars Sullivan like Unmasked Kane. Long ago, a monster that nobody understands. Trying is the key word here. Well, obviously, long-term, they want Lars to be a babyface, so yeah, that's probably... I mean, Vince has a limited number of basic stories that he's able to tell, so that's probably one of them.
This is not a main event story.
This person says, why does it seem like only 10% of the audience in Saudi Arabia knows what's going on? Well, probably because about 10% of the people there know what's going on.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why. So there you go.
Facts.
This person here says, forget Corbin heat. Can't watch while I'm at work, this person says. Not that I want to, but having Observer Live in the background is the best. Thanks for all the work you guys do. I really appreciate it. Oh, thank you. I wasn't going to read that one, but it jumped up right here. Yeah.
Oh.
And yeah, they didn't keep Lars' entrance. I just can't believe... I mean, I can believe it, but I'm just aghast. They got rid of his entrance from NXT, which was so great. Oh, well. What the hell can you do? Hey, the show's still going on. As I told Mike 25 minutes ago, this Hunter-Randy Orton match would still be going on when the show went off the air, and I was right. So, anyway, we're out of time. Check out the show. We'll be back later on with more. Thanks to Mike, as always, callers and listeners, everybody in the studio. Talk again later this afternoon with Filthy Tom, Wrestling Observer Live.